Okay, let us start. Today is September 29, right? Yeah. Our procedure is, I explain the Dhamma involved in this section, and then to give some new Pali words where these things are mentioned. In the first place, I want to start with what you call the Dhamma involved in it. Number 8 you can see. Also I like to recap what we have done so far for the benefit of new people. I think you are new to this class. Anybody else? You are new? First time? Okay. Yeah, new. 3 new people. Now, this is the discourse on right view. Right view, I prefer using the word right understanding, because we end up in right understanding and leave all the views behind. When we leave all the views behind, only then the mind is totally free from defilements. Even right view turns into right understanding, and it will no longer be a view. When the mind reaches understanding or wisdom, all the views will vanish, disappear. Aiming that goal, I like to use the word understanding instead of right view with right understanding. So the title of the discourse is Right Understanding. As you know, right understanding is the number 1 in the Noble Eightfold Path, because all our problems, misunderstanding, suffering arise from not having right understanding. Having understanding itself is not enough. We have to have right understanding. And so Venerable Sariputta explained to his fellow monks right understanding. So he went through, he said the first, knowing unwholesome as unwholesome and their root, knowing wholesome as wholesome and their root. Root of unwholesome are greed, hatred and delusion. In any shape, any size, any color, greed, hatred and delusion are the root of all unwholesome. Root of all wholesome are non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. What are the unwholesome? Killing, stealing, sensual misconduct, lying, slanderous, harsh speech, gossip, and then greed, covetousness and wrong view. These are called wrong or unwholesome state of mind. They stem from greed, hatred and delusion. Wholesome mental states is free from killing, stealing, sensual misconduct, lying, slanderous, harsh speech and gossip, and generosity, non-covetousness, and wisdom. These are the 10 wholesome. And their roots are non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. Then he went to number 2. Number of the right understanding he explained in 16 ways. This is number 1. Number 2 is nutriments. What is the nutriments? How many kinds of nutriments are there? What is their cause? How to end it? How and the end of it and how to end it. That means 4 types of nutriments explained in 4 noble truths. In terms of 4 noble truths. Nutriment is material food, contact, thought and consciousness. 4. These 4 are explained in terms of the 4 noble truths. That is, he stated them in as name, and then the cause of nutriments is desire. End of nutriment is end of desire, and the path leading to end of desire is, and nutriment is Noble Eightfold Path. Then he went to number 3, the 4 noble truth itself. Suffering, its cause, its end, and the path leading to the end. That is Noble Eightfold Path. Even number 4 is aging and death. No, 4 noble truths. Aging and death. Then aging and death, their cause, their end, and the path leading to the end. Number 5 is birth. Birth, its cause of birth, end of birth, and the path leading to the end of birth. Number 5 is being, bhava. Being is kama bhava, rupa bhava, arupa bhava, becoming humans, animals and so forth, becoming fine material beings, immaterial beings and so forth, and they have causes and there is an end to that, and the path leading to the end of becoming or being. And then number 7, clinging. Clinging, we discussed last week, clinging to upadana.
Sensual pleasure, sensual.
Yes, kama upadana, ditthi upadana, attavada upadana, silapata upadana. 4 types of clinging. 4 types of clinging. And then clinging is caused by craving. And today that is the topic we are going to discuss. Craving.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah?
When Venerable Sariputta discussed this, he only started using 4 noble truth steps in the second one, but not the first one. Do you know any reason? Or?
No. The first statement is the first truth.
I see.
For instance, craving he numbers. What are the 4 types of craving? Craving. What is craving? What is the origin of craving? What is the cessation of craving? What is the pathway leading to cessation? So there are 6 classes of craving. That is number 1. 4 noble truth, that is the number 1, suffering. Then number 2 is the origin of craving. That is form, feeling, perception, thought and consciousness. These are the kind of craving. I will explain all these things. Then, with the arising of feeling, that is the second truth, samudaya satya. With the cessation of feeling, craving ceases. That is the third truth. And the way leading to the cessation of craving is the Four Noble Eightfold Path. That is the fourth truth. This is the pattern he continued all the way. Now I want to talk about craving, which is everybody knows what craving is. Not really. We have superficial understanding of craving, not deep understanding of craving. When we talk about craving, please remember, we are trying to understand this. Don't think that we are suggesting or recommending people to give up all the craving and stay in the monastery wearing robes and shaving head and no craving. We don't expect that. Don't think that we are going to do that right away. This is just understanding. Understanding is very important because when we learn Dhamma, we remember that. Then keep thinking about it. Thinking whenever you are alone, when you go to sleep, when you are just having a leisurely walk, or driving, very leisurely, no particular commitment, just in a relaxed mood, think. What I am telling now is for you to think, not to do too many things right now. Too early to do anything about it, very early for you. You need more time to think. Keep thinking. Craving, here Venerable Sariputta gives the kind of craving. The Pali word is a very, very profound Pali word, even Sanskrit. In both languages, Pali word is tanha. Sanskrit, trishna. Trishna or tanha means thirst. Closest English word is thirst. And you ask yourself whether you have thirst or not. He gives the list of thirst. And when the thirst is there, you cannot be in peace. You want to fulfill your thirst. Thirstiness is a very, very difficult mental state, difficult physical state. you can go without food maybe for few days. But can you go without water even one day? During the World War II, many Americans were killed in Indonesia. That is called death march, without giving water. It is the most painful death. To die without water is even when the Buddha was going to pass away, he was having diarrhea. He laid down near a river called Kakutta river and asked Venerable Ananda to bring water. Buddha was fully enlightened, but still he had thirst. So Ananda went, and there were carts, crossed the river, made it muddy. He came back and said, Venerable Sir, there's water, but it is muddy. So after some time, then Buddha asked him again, bring me some water. Second time Venerable Ananda went there, still it was muddy, because these many buffaloes or bulls stepped into the river and it became muddy. Third time, Buddha asked him to go. After third time, when Ananda went there, he found the river water was clean and he brought water. All this time, Buddha was asking Venerable Ananda to bring water. Buddha would never ask for food, for rest, for clothes, for anything but water. Even the Buddha had the pain of thirst. So, I just mentioned this, how important the quenching the thirst is. This is what is called desire, craving, thirst, trishna or tanha. We want this and this and this and this and this. There is no end to that. You just think about it and try to understand how painful it is when we have a thirst for something, or wanting, need. That is today's topic. So, Venerable Sariputta said, the cause of clinging is craving. Tanha pacca upadana. We cling to something because of this craving. For craving, you can find hundreds of words. Some are very mild, soft, gentle, pleasing, acceptable, and so forth and so on. You may say desire, love, attachment, or filial love, parental love, universal love, many different shades of meaning we find. But in the word craving, everything is included. Every shade is included. You cannot find one single word without craving in that category. So craving is so all-pervasive word. Now, so when then these bhikkhus asked, then they asked him further questions. They asked, but friends, might there be another way in which a noble disciple is one of right view and has arrived at this true Dhamma? Then Venerable Sariputta said, yes. When he explained the previous section, these bhikkhus prompted him for the next question. So that is why he is going to answer. That's what he is going to say here. When friends, noble disciples understand craving, the origin of craving, the cessation of craving, and the way leading to the cessation of craving, in that way he is one of right view. Then he asks him, then he tells them, and what is the craving? What is the origin of craving? What is the cessation of craving? What is the way leading to the cessation of craving? There are these 6 classes of craving. This is dukkha, in according to Four Noble Truths. Number 1 is dukkha. 6 kinds of craving. Craving for forms, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind objects. 6 kinds. Craving for sight or forms. I think we roughly mentioned this in my previous class. How many things, as I said, don't try to stop on any of those things, but just to think, keep thinking. How many things we want to see? How many things we have seen? How many things we are seeing now? Is there end to that? There is no end to that. Suppose all of a sudden we go blind. See how much pain we have for missing what we have been seeing. We take for granted when the eyes are in good condition. When we go, if we go blind, see how much pain we have for not being able to see. This is not physical pain. This is not physical pain. This is mental. So the suffering is not something physical. This is mental. So, when we are deprived of the sight, we experience the pain, the suffering. That is why it is called craving is suffering. In the Four Noble Truths, the Venerable Sariputta explains every step in terms of Four Noble Truths. In the Four Noble Truths, number 1 is suffering. In this explanation, suffering here is craving. Suffering, craving itself is suffering. Actually, when we are experiencing craving, do we enjoy pleasure? When we have craving to see something, we are born with this. Craving is born with us. In the even unicellular being, crave for something. Isn't it? That is why they keep multiplying, demanding, and keep consuming. You see? Demanding, consuming, all our life. So, here is one category of craving. Craving just to see. objects that we see are immeasurable, innumerable. The object that we want to see are immeasurable. Objects that we have seen are immeasurable. And objects we are seeing now are immeasurable. And in all these places there is craving. Craving for, in short, he says craving for sight. Then sound. How many things we have heard, how many things we are hearing now, how many things we want to see in future. So we are the embodiment of craving through our eyes and ears. Now, then smell. Is there any limit to our smelling? No. We want to smell this flower, this fruit, that fruit, this food, that food, this perfume, that perfume, and so forth and so on. If you were to put the category of things we want to smell, there is no end to it. And the desire to smell also has no limit. We are just trying to understand this, you see. Don't get into thinking that I'm promoting or trying to advocate people to give up their desire for smelling. But this is the discourse is understanding. So we try to understand. Then whatever you do after understanding is your business. So we just want to make you understand, make you try to understand. Then craving for flavor, food and drinks of all kind, also no end. Then craving for touch, physical touch. And then craving for mind objects. Here, mind objects. What are the mind objects?
Thoughts.
Thoughts and fantasizing, visualizing, memories, hallucinations. We even like our dreams. All are mental objects. So these are the objects of our craving. 6 senses brings craving all the time. We are really inundated with craving. Completely we are drowned in craving. So, then when the Versari, this is the number 1 or the Four Noble Truths, he just put the categories of craving. Then, with the arising of feeling, there is the arising of craving. Now, when we use the word feeling for both sensation and feeling. When we remember something, we have a feeling, But when the senses come in contact with the sensory object, we have sensation. That is how it is explained in the Western psychology. But in Buddhist terminology, we use the word feeling for both. Things that we experience through our senses and the mind. Now, where is feeling? Feeling is in the mind. Okay? Feeling arises through eyes, ears, tongue, body and mind. All the 6 senses feeling arises. They are called eye, visual objects, consciousness, contact, and then feeling through the eye. This feeling are 3 categories, mainly, primarily 3. Pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. And when we have feeling through the eye, that feeling has these 3 categories. When we have feeling through the hearing, that has 3 categories, and so forth. Now, 6 senses brings 18 kinds of feelings. Now, when this feeling arises, craving arises. The cause of craving is feeling. Now, when the pleasant feeling arises, craving arises, we can understand. When unpleasant feeling arises, how craving can arise. Here he says, a feeling there is arising of craving. With the arising of feeling there is the arising of craving. When pleasant feeling arises, we understand there is an urge or feeling, pleasant feeling for the, craving for the pleasant feeling. When unpleasant feeling arises, without any categorizing or explanation, he simply says, with the arising of feeling, craving arises. But, then there are 3 types of feeling. Weak feeling, when arises, craving arises. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling. And it is obvious when the pleasant feeling arises, craving can arise. Because everybody likes the pleasant feeling. How about unpleasant feeling?
Craving for not to have it.
Excuse me?
Craving for not to have it.
Not to have it. Right. Craving for not to have it and craving to get rid of that unpleasant feeling. You see, first you have craving not to have it. Second, you have craving to reject it. So craving to accept and craving to reject. Okay, how about neutral feeling?
Confusion. Confusion.
Confusion. Now, how craving can arise from confusion?
I don't know, Bhante. I just remember confusion is related to neutral feeling.
Confusion is related to neutral feeling, that's true. But the question is how craving can arise from confusion or neutral feeling.
With the desire to feel to either have the pleasant feeling again?
Same thing, not to have confusion.
Okay.
Craving arises not to have confusion or neutral feeling. Underlying tendency of neutral feeling is confusion. When you don't have confusion, you don't have craving. You feel underlying tendency of neutral feeling is confusion. Why confusion? Because you don't see the beginning and end of neutral feeling. You can see the beginning and the end of pleasant feeling and unpleasant feeling, but you cannot see the beginning and end of unpleasant feeling. It is sort of inferential. For instance, the simile Buddha has given is, suppose a deer hunter chases a deer. He runs and leaving footprints behind, so the deer hunter follows the deer footprints. Then he comes to a rock. When the deer crossed the rock, this hunter cannot find his footprint. But he crossed the rock himself and go to the other side, and then he sees the footprint started from there again. So in between those footprints and these footprints, there is a rock where you cannot find footprint. So he inferentially conclude the deer must have crossed this rock. Similarly, neutral feeling, when you have pleasant feeling, when the pleasant feeling ends, neutral feeling begins. When neutral feeling ends, unpleasant feeling arises. So you can see the end of pleasant feeling and the beginning of neutral feeling, and then in between these two you have neutral feeling. So, craving arises not to have this unclear feeling. That is how craving arises from neutral feeling. Okay? Then, that is the cause of craving, arising craving. First, it has objects, and then the cause. By having objects, you simply don't get craving, but you have to have feeling for the object. Feeling arising from the object. Object itself does not have any feeling. Feeling is in the mind. Craving is in the mind. So, we are trying to deal with understanding, because our suffering is in the mind. So we have to understand the mental states. Okay?
But a quick question.
Yeah?
Like when we are just walking on the road, we are meeting somebody whom we don't know. So basically when there is a contact, that arises the feeling, neutral feeling, because we do not know the person. So at that time, can we say that has a craving with it, or that feeling, neutral feeling, does not have a craving there?
Well, even when you don't know the person, in your mind, craving can arise because of that feeling. Craving can arise to know the person. since you don't know. That not knowing there is sort of a neutral feeling. But the mind can work in a way, not only that moment, perhaps later on, that you might think, gee, how nice if I know this person. Of course we cannot know everybody we meet, so many thousands of people we meet. But if we focus mind on a very specific person, when we see so many people, they definitely will have unpleasant feeling, because so many noises, movements and so forth, unpleasant feeling, and then craving arises not to have that unpleasant feeling. But if we meet one particular person and the neutral feeling arises, then after person pass by, then the craving can arise, how nice if I knew this person. This way, from that neutral feeling, craving can arise.
But I was just trying to see if every single neutral feeling has a craving attached to it. Just like how every single like craving for something or not craving for something has a wrong understanding attached to it.
Right.
So similarly, I was just trying to see if every single neutral feeling also has a wrong understanding attached to it.
Right. So if we are talking about the craving, craving. From any sight, sound, smell, taste and so forth, craving can arise. Whether they are pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. But the craving arising from a neutral feeling is very subtle. That is where we need less confusion, more wisdom to understand. And in this whole series we are trying to learn how to make ourselves understanding. So these things don't take for granted even now. Keep thinking about it. And then you will know, you will come to understanding. Now, understanding is not something that we can impart, that we can share. Understanding is something that arises within ourselves. So what we are trying to do from these discourses is the way we have to use our mind to develop understanding.
What is upekha? What is upekha? Isn't that also neutral then?
Upekha also, sometimes upekha is neutral, sometimes upekha is very positive. Upekha is, the word neutral is very sort of colloquial. Upekha is a better term. So Buddha used, instead of upekha or neutral, he used neither pleasant nor unpleasant. That way, everything in that category is covered. Neither pleasant nor unpleasant.
Bhante, did I understand you to say that when we switch from pleasant to unpleasant, or vice versa, we always pass through neutral?
Yes.
Okay.
You
can't
know-
just jump from...
No. We do not actually deliberately make any decision with regard to feeling. It arises in our mind, depending on our own experiences. And we have no control over that. Because we have conditioned our mind previously, according to that, we experience pleasantness or unpleasantness. For instance, in the case of meeting a person, as you said, we have seen so many people in our life, And we have gone through so many experiences with those people. And therefore when we see one more person, all our previous experiences, some of them at least will come to our forefront, our memory, to identify, associate with this neutral person. And depending on that, feeling arises. You see? The person himself or herself does not give us a feeling. The person is just a person. But the feeling in our mind arises depending on our previous conditioning, and that kind of feeling. And a feeling of food, for instance, feeling of food. Food in itself does not have any taste, but we make it tasty by putting various things, and still not tasty. No matter how many things we put, all the best ingredients we put into a dish, it does not taste. What we have to do, we have to put in the mouth, then only knows taste. Right? And this taste, either you like, dislike, or just neutral. Like because of your previous conditioning. Dislike because of our previous conditioning. And neither like nor dislike depending on our previous conditioning. Condition our tongue, the taste buds. You know, some people cannot eat certain food of certain nationality, certain country, certain ethnic group. But for them, that is the most delicious food. Because that is the food that you are accustomed to eating from babyhood conditions our taste buds. And therefore, if something totally different type of food is given to me, I don't taste it. Because these taste buds in you are not conditioned to eat that food. Is it right? Everything is like that. And therefore the feeling of pleasant, unpleasant or neutral, it depends not only on our nervous system, that is just physical, but the real feeling is mental, and that feeling comes from the conditioning.
Is that the conditioned feeling is what forms our perception?
Yeah.
Of whether it's our perception of whether it's pleasant, unpleasant,
Feeling?
or neutral.
Feeling arises from perception?
No. Yes,
Your feeling arising from perception?
that's what I'm asking. When you're
No.
when you're referring to conditioning, are you saying?
Conditioning is that you have been taking that particular food all your life, and therefore taste buds are conditioned to eat that particular food, and you prefer that food, you like it, and it gives you pleasant feeling. That's what I mean.
But isn't that a perception from previous experience?
Now, perception is one thing, feeling is another.
Right, I didn't find.
Now, perception doesn't give you feeling. Perception also can give you feeling, but of different type, but I'm talking about the taste.
Sensations.
Yeah, sensation. Sensation.
Bhante,
Yeah.
what about learning? You know, we never had a certain food, and then we What about we learn to like a certain food or...
Now, if you have not tasted certain food, never tasted, you can learn to taste that food by eating, being polite, being nice, and being with friends, and so forth and so on. Slowly, gradually, you train the mind to accept that food, and then you may eventually like it, depending on conditioning. So, with the arising of feeling, there is arising of craving. That is what I wanted to emphasize. Then, with the cessation of feeling, there is the cessation of craving. Now, feeling of any sort doesn't mean this. I mean, this doesn't mean of the what you call craving. Or craving ceases only when the feeling ceases. I mentioned already, we must feel the taste of, we must feel the sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thinking or thought to feel. If we don't have feeling, don't have the feeling, then we cannot have desire for that, craving for that. We have to have the feeling. Feeling is a mental state. When that mental state arises, along with that, craving arises. Craving for that particular thing arises. Craving for sight, smell, taste, sound and so forth arises only when the feeling arises. For instance, if our nervous system is completely shut down or under anesthetic or some brain damage, some kind of paralysis, we don't feel. Because the feeling mechanism is physical, and that shut down, the mind is still working, but you don't have craving. There has to have feeling for craving to arise. Now, with the cessation of feeling, there is the cessation of craving. The way leading to the cessation of craving is just this Noble Eightfold Path. Now, this is the most important aspect of this whole thing. The way leading to the cessation of craving, the way leading to the cessation of craving is the Noble Eightfold Path. In the Noble Eightfold Path, number one is understanding. Understanding. Okay. If we understand the craving, how it arises, how it ceases, then craving will not arise. Now, what is how to understand? If understanding the craving arises because of sight, sound, smell, and so forth. Craving arises because of not understanding. What should we understand? This taste, this sight, sound, smell, taste, touch and thought. All these are impermanent. Impermanent we must see. It is not just a theory or lecture or reading or discussion of impermanence. No. Impermanence we must see. We must experience. We must have fully comprehended impermanence. There is impermanent discourses. Buddha has given impermanent discourses. It's called Anatta Sanya, Anicca Sanya. Anicca Sanya, perception of impermanence. Now, you can perceive anything. Can you perceive impermanence? You can perceive impermanence in your mind with wisdom, through experience in life. We have gone through our life so many years. Have you learned impermanence? Have you seen impermanence? We are going through impermanence every fraction of a second. Every fraction of a second. We are going through impermanence. Have you seen impermanence? Have you understood impermanence? No. That is why you have suffering. That is why you have craving. You crave for something which is impermanent. We all crave for something impermanent. Do we crave for anything permanent? Do we?
Nibbana.
Huh?
Nibbana.
It is not craving.
Yeah.
For Nibbana we don't crave. We have craving for anything but Nibbana. Because when you reach Nibbana, your craving is completely vanished, gone. No more craving. Until such time, craving is there for impermanent things. Friends, this is a challenge in our life. This is a challenge. You ask yourself, what is permanent that you crave for? Anything permanent? I don't have to give any example. You have lived long enough to understand what was there in my life that was permanent. What was there? Nothing. Even this breath, the breath that we breathe, is continuously giving life through oxygen, bringing oxygen to the body. Is it permanent? Even this breath is not, although we are breathing. Why do we breathe so many times? Because the breath is not permanent. We have to bring it again. Anything we do in our life, we have to repeat again and again and again and again. And these are the things we crave for. We crave for this. Friends, I am not asking, as I mentioned several times, I am not asking anybody to give up everything right now. I just want everybody to understand. Understanding is the most important thing, and we grow with understanding, mature with understanding, and think how to reduce our suffering. for this reason. So Venerable Sariputta said, the end of the path leading to the end of craving is Noble Eightfold Path. Number one is understanding. Because of not understanding is not our personal problem. Understanding also is not our personal benefit. This happens naturally as we train our mind. It is a matter of training the mind. It is a matter of training the mind to see mentally what is in us, what is happening to us, what is happening to us, not to others. And we have to think and look at ourselves every single moment. So, right understanding comes from there. And that is the way to end of craving. So, only one of the 8 steps is right understanding. Just imagine right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, when all the other 7 combined with right understanding. How clearly can we learn to see the truth? To see the truth. It is because of not seeing the truth that we suffer and get into all kind of difficulties in life. So, as I mentioned many times, we are not asking anybody to believe, but we are trying to understand everything. Understand. So this is for craving today. I also mentioned feeling as the second part of the class, but no time for that. I took too much time for craving, because that is the most important thing in our life. Craving. Last time we wanted to discuss tanha, craving, but didn't have time. Today we try to discuss feeling, but we don't have time. So we keep trying. Now I want to go through the Pali words, few words.
Will we be starting up with feeling next meeting?
Next time we begin with feeling. We suspend for now feeling for the next time. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, Khatama, page 1, second, third paragraph. First 2 paragraphs he repeated many times, and we don't have time to go through them, but you can, if anybody is interested, go to the previous lessons. They are available online perhaps.
Yes,
right?
along with the top.
Yeah. Khatama also tanha. Khatama, how many? Or what? Khatama is used in feminine gender, No, actually Katama can be used in masculine, feminine and neutral. Here, Katama is plural. How many or what? Also tanha, craving. No, in this case not plural, singular, because the noun is tanha. Tanha is feminine gender. Therefore, its adjective is katama, craving. Katamo is masculine because samudayo is masculine. Okay. Now, next sentence you have nirodho. Nirodho is also masculine singular, and therefore katamo is masculine singular. First one is katama, this one is katamo. Then katama patipada. Patipada is also feminine, and therefore its qualifying word kata became katama, also feminine gender. Tanna nirodha gamini. Gamini means going or leading.
Patipada is the way, right?
Yeah, patipada is the way. Okay, then next paragraph, cha ime. Cha means 6, ime means this. In between you can see while. I put it within parentheses because y is added. Otherwise it could be cha plus ime. Cha means 6 plus ime means this. Tanna kaya. Kaya means bodies or classes or groups. Tanha is 6 groups. When you say 6 groups, each craving, each tanha has many different things in it. That is why it is called groups or classes. For instance, for the eyes, there are countless things as objects, the forms. Many, incalculable amount of things are there, and therefore the craving can arise from any of those things. Therefore that is called a class or group. So craving in this case is not only one, but classes of craving. Human, seeing, living, animate things, inanimate things, so forth. Various things are there. If you were to think of even animals, so many number of animals are there. And humans, if there are 7 or 8 billion people, there can be 7 or 8 billion types of people. or 7 or 8 billion types of feelings can arise from seeing human beings. And therefore it is called class, tanha class. Then kaya. Then gandha, saddha tanha, gandha tanha, and so forth. Saddha means sound. Gandha means smell, odor. Rasa, taste. And then pottabha. Pottabha means tangible. Pottabha the tangible object, and the contact is called phassa. So pottabha means tangible. Then dhamma, of course, is mind objects, craving. So 6 classes of craving. Then Vedana samudaya, tanha samudaya. Vedana means feelings. As I mentioned earlier, when we hear the word Vedana in Pali, we mean both sensation and feeling.
And what is sensation and emotion?
Sensation and emotion. Yeah, right. Sensation and emotions.
What is the feeling? Yeah, feeling is a sensation, so it's
No, sensation and feeling, emotion can go under the category of feeling.
so sensation is what you feel in your skin or tongue, right?
Sensation is through the eyes, ears, nose,
Right.
tongue, body. And the feeling is in the mind. But emotion also is in the mind. And therefore, emotion and sensation are one. Emotion and feeling is one. Sensation is another. Sensation is more physical.
Right.
Emotion is psychological.
Feeling is not the same.
Okay. Vedana is feeling. It is also more to do with the mental state, the mind. I say so because it comes from the root vid to know. It becomes feeling, and then it is called Vedana. If it is known, it is called Veda. That which is known is called Veda. That which is felt is called feeling. So, both come from the same root, vid to know. We have to know to feel. That means we have to have and also vidya also comes from the same root, vid to know. Then nirodha, okay. I am eva arivatanga kumago. You can see in the page 2, second paragraph. Ayang eva, this alone. Ayang eva become ayam eva. So he emphasized every section, he emphasized this alone is the way to lead into the cessation. This alone. And ayang eva. Eva means, eva is used for emphasis. Ayang. Ayang means this. Ariyo, noble. Attangiko. Atta anga. Atta means 8. Anga means limbs. Magga means path. Tanha, nirodha, gamini, patipada. Tanha is craving, nirodha cessation, gamini leading. Patipada, the method or way. Sayatidam, such as. Then he gives a list. Right view, right understanding, SammaDitthi, Sammavaya, Samma Sankappa, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. So, I think this may be enough for today's Dhamma class. And this next paragraph we have repeated several times before. And if you have any further questions, you can ask now. Otherwise, we can close it.
Karan has a question.
Yeah, Karan, what is the question?
Bhante, can you say something like Samma Metta?
Samma metta.
Yeah, well, right. Metta, is that, or is that putting together two things that don't go together?
You know, metta is in the Noble Eightfold Path. When we say that, metta included. Metta is in under right thought. Right thoughts are 3 groups. We discussed this earlier. Thought of, there are 6 individual right thoughts, and they can be divided into 2, 3 in each class, section. 3 are wholesome, other 3 are unwholesome. Unwholesome 3 are Kama vitakka, Vyapada vitakka, Vihinsa vitakka. Thought of sensual desires, thought of cruelty, and thought of hurting. No, thought of hatred and thought of cruelty. Thought of sensual pleasures, thought of hate, hateful thought, and thought of cruelty. That is negative, unwholesome thought. Wholesome thought is the thought of generosity, which includes all kind of letting go, and thought of metta. Second is thought of metta, positive side. And the third is thought of compassion. Now metta is in the 2nd steps of the Noble Eightfold Path. And therefore Samma also is already used there. So we don't have to say Samma Metta. If we say Samma Sankappa, in which we find metta.
Okay, I have a question about, could you have a situation that someone from, that has the wrong view, the first step, but does everything, all the other 7.
Wrong view, what?
They not someone that follows another religion could be doing all the steps of the Noble Eightfold Path, but they have the wrong view. No?
Sorry to say that if they have wrong view, whatever else they do after that with the wrong view will be wrong. For instance, somebody has a wrong view that killing is okay. The animals are there for our consumption. And behind that there also is a religious belief. They are created, since when God created, He could not create refrigerators, so created these animals, put life so that they can live whenever we want, we can take life and eat. That kind of belief there can be. With that belief, can't he be cruel? Second, Noble Eightfold Steps. Can't he be killing, stealing, sensual misconduct, wrong livelihood? Perhaps some people can avoid wrong livelihood. They can be 100% honest. They never steal. They never tell lies. They never commit sensual misconduct. They can have that. But for what? First I mentioned all that 8. Then wrong livelihood. Then wrong effort, wrong speech, wrong mindfulness, wrong concentration they have. Why all this became wrong? Because the beginning is wrong. Wrong understanding, not right understanding. When they have right understanding, everything is right. What is their wrong? When we say they have wrong understanding, why, even if they are very honest, sincere and so forth, observing morality and so on, why do they do that? What is their motive? To go to heaven. To go to heaven. Is going to heaven end our suffering? Going to heaven is not going to end our suffering. Why? Because they still have desire. They have desire. So long as anybody has desire, that individual has suffering. So, began with wrong understanding and did many good things. Even a Buddhist have right understanding. They may have all right steps, all right. That doesn't give them a guarantee that they will be liberated from suffering. Why? Because they want to be reborn in better place. They want to be reborn in a higher divine realm, so better as human beings and so on. And still their understanding is right understanding. What is that right understanding? That right understanding is imperfect. with sāsava, there are three words. Sāsava, punyabhagya, upadivepaka. Sāsava means with asrava, the influxes, underlying tendencies of greed, hatred, and so on. They have that. But understanding is right understanding. They do very many meritorious deeds. But they have these underlying tendencies, asava. Sāsava, punyabhagya. They are promoting pleasure, happiness. Promoting pleasure and happiness. In a divine being, as a human beings, and so on. Upadivepaka. Upadi means clinging. They are results. Vepaka means result. Vipaka. Vipaka, the results are clinging. So, they have desire, the underlying tendencies. They have a desire for pleasure. They have clinging as their results, as the results of their good deeds. They can be Buddhist, good Buddhist, observing precepts, giving dana, living even good monastics, monks, nuns, lay people. They can be good Buddhist, but they still are in samsara. On the other hand, those who are doing, those who have this, committing all these wholesome things, they have anasava citta. There is no underlying tendency of their mind, in their mind. Any underlying tendency, there is no anasava. Then Aryo, the noble. Anaso, Aryo, Maggango. They are on the path. They are called Sotapannas. Until one becomes Sotapanna, their understanding of the Noble Eightfold Path and so forth is mundane. When you promote from mundane to supramundane, only then their practice became very steady. Otherwise, they can change. There is wavering state of mind.
In samsara continues.
In samsara continues. As long as you exist in samsara in any form, good human, divine, Brahmas, and so on, you are in samsara.
So all those actions that you do with whatever what you follow results in good life or bad life?
Right, good life, particularly good life.
Right.
And nobody aspires for bad life.
Right.
So, we have to understand the difference between these two, mundane wholesome things and supramundane wholesome things. In this particular discourse, the beginning, first section is mundane. You explained mundane, wholesome mental states. From the second step down, he explained in terms of Noble Eightfold Path, dependent origination, that is the way to attain liberation. In the first section, Noble Eightfold Path is not even mentioned.
Right, that's what I was asking earlier.
Not even mentioned.
Right.
Because that is ordinary, mundane, wholesome mental states.
Anyone else has a question? Question? I have one more, Bhante. So we talked about, earlier you talked about, like we always have to remember about impermanence, which is like the Buddhist, way to do that. So in other religions, do they have something they always think it's permanent then?
Everything is permanent in their religion. Soul is permanent.
I see, soul is one, yeah.
You know,
I guess God is permanent.
God is there in all other religions. Creator is there. Soul is there. So long as Creator and soul are there, they are permanent. I mean, they assume permanency, something permanent. Buddhism talk only about impermanence. Not only, the Buddhism is the only religion or philosophy that teaches of impermanence, which nobody can deny. No religion can deny impermanence unless they believe in permanency, permanent soul and permanent God. That is why Buddhism is different from other religions.
So there are suttas describing the universe is not permanent?
In suttas, wherever the universe is discussed, it discussed in terms of impermanence. Nowhere, no universe is explained as permanent in Buddhism. This whole universe, I mean, it is measureless, endless space, infinite. Nothing can we find permanent. Every planet, every star, every galaxy, every sun, moon, this and that, whatever object, you work in NASA, you know that. I'm in front, I'm very timid to talk in front of you anything about the universe. I know nothing. But according to Buddhism, you will confirm that in the universe there is nothing permanent. And this is the principle that Buddha used to explain the Dhamma. This universal, impermanent truth. And that is why it is different from other religions. That is why other religious people, some people don't like Buddhism. Because they don't like to accept impermanence.
Bhante, I have a question. What do you think of the statement that I've heard people make that Buddhism is not a religion, it's a philosophy? What do you think about that?
You know, Buddhism has all these features. Buddhism has philosophy, psychology, path of living, and philosophy, way of life. All these are there. Buddhism differs from all other religions in its teaching of liberation from suffering. Differs from all other religions. Otherwise, Buddhist ethics are shared with all other religions. There are many, many good ethical principles in every religion. A religious aspect. Religious aspect is fundamentally faith, devotion. Every religion has a faith or devotion. Buddhism also has devotion. And as a religion, faith is there, devotion. As psychology, most religious traditions have psychology. in the way they deal with people. They have psychological approach. And every religion has a philosophy. So Buddhism has philosophy. So in this respect, there are certain similarities, but the difference between all religions and Buddhism is the teaching of impermanence, Four Noble Truth, dependent origination. No religion teaches these three aspects.
But I've heard people also say, well, you can follow another religion and be a Buddhist, but kind of what we're talking about today is not really, because most religions, in my experience, have very permanent tenets that are definite, as in God, the soul. So, can you be a Buddhist and belong to another religion?
A Buddhist what?
Can you be a Buddhist and belong to another religion also? That believes in God and the soul and permanent things.
You know this.
Cake and you want to eat it too.
If somebody were to be true Buddhist, he cannot be both Buddhist and non-Buddhist. Buddhist means Buddhist. What makes a person Buddhist? Can anybody tell me what makes a person Buddhist?
You take refuge in the
Huh?
you take the precepts, and you take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha.
Following the Buddha's
In the
teachings.
following of
Huh?
Following the Buddha's teachings.
Believe in Four Noble Truth.
Yeah.
Or following the Noble Eightfold Path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it is much simpler than that. You all made it complicated. To be a Buddhist, you have to accept the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. That's all. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Accept. That's all. In that, you can see Four Noble Truths, Noble Eightfold Path, dependent origination, and all these things. All this you can see in these three words, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. If somebody is a Buddhist, all he has to do is to follow the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Accept the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Honestly. That's all.
But you have to accept impermanence. I mean, you have to follow the tenet of impermanence, which in my mind is contradictory with a lot of other religions.
No. You don't accept the permanency. But you believe in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Now Buddha, as I was telling him, whether it is Gautama Buddha or Kasyapa Buddha or Vipassi Buddha or Deepankar, these names are not the Buddhas. These names are not the Buddhas. Buddha is this awakening to the reality. Awakening to the reality. It is an entity that awakens to the reality. That is the Buddha. Who doesn't like to be awakened to the reality? And one who likes to be awakened to the reality, accept it as a reality, is a Buddhist. In that you don't find impermanency. In that all impermanence is included. Because the Buddha is not born. Buddha is one that becomes from any ordinary person. Buddha can become. I think that's enough answer. If I give to try to explain my answer, I will make you more confused.
No, that's very helpful, thank you.
Okay. Your question, you are going to ask something? Oh, Karen?
No, Bhante.
Nobody? Okay. Then kaput.